screen yet?
Not yet.
All right, let's see. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. I do see some of you guys are actually finally clicking, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it takes time, right? I mean, it's not something that happens, you know, a volume profile, you understand the values, you can distinguish price versus value overnight. So I do see a lot of progress in some of you, and some of you that really struggled and that were borderline, you know, like giving up on yourself. Actually surprising me, you know, lately, you know, you're understanding the behavior of the stock market, you're understanding what you're looking for, and even yourself, you know, you're commenting like, hey man, I think finally something's clicking, which is kind of good, right? It's good for your confidence, and it's also good because, you know, within 3 months you should be able to understand the market information, what it's telling you, where you have nodes, where the, you know, buyer's trapped, where the seller's trapped, where's the value shifting higher, is it progressing well? Those things, once you kind of, it becomes really a habit of checking. Like it's almost like when you wake up, you brush your teeth, you do your ritual in the morning, right? The habits, unless you have none, then it's a problem, right? But it's every day doing the same thing over and over to figure out what's the plan. And I think some of you guys are doing a really good job. So kudos to those that are progressing. And if you're not, don't beat yourself up, you know, too much. With time, everything comes, right? And you know, if you're not putting in the work, a lot of you guys say you're putting in the work, but I don't know if you are, right? It's hard to gauge if you're truly putting in the work or you think you're putting the work in. So take a look at, you know, yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you being serious about this, and are you putting the effort in? Because there's a lot of prime examples in this Discord group where people came with nothing and have, you know, generated some income for themselves and their families. So hopefully you can see it and kind of get the confidence moving your way. Okay, enough on that. So today, I mean, if you guys look at it, we're going in lowercase b shapes. What's the level of interest that you guys want to hop over to be bullish? Anyone?
POC.
AD POC.
And why is that? I mean, I know it's a level, but why is it important?
Because it's pretty much like low volume at the top of the B.
Yeah, and this is, I would say, it's not an elongated B, right? I mean, when you think about the length of this, right? There's some unfinished business here. You guys see how this one has like a cutoff on a profile shape. It would be the same on market profiles, and those usually indicate that's unfinished business, right? This means finished business, finished business. This is not a finished business here at the bottom. So don't be surprised if you see them come back and fix this overnight. But this is only 34 points, guys. I know it seems like, whoa, we dumped, you know, crazy stuff. No, we really haven't dumped. The market behavior, the way it was moving, the way the big boys were moving, and you know the little guys, that's what wasn't adding up here. And if you just take a look at these averages as they're going down, we're compressing a little bit here. And I'm expecting that they're gonna eventually have a bounce here. And I'm thinking if they can reclaim the first SIG, which we're about to update, if they can reclaim that, I think they can go, you know, probably to the POC and kind of continue this pattern of holding. But the only thing that we do have is that 43.27 here. I think we could come here, fill that gap, complete the gap. So it would be good for the bulls to complete this sooner than later, right? If they can finish this on this round, that's only about what, 75 points down. If they can finish that, that'd be great. And then they would get that out of the picture. And then they have a POC if you're to grab it here somewhere where they could bounce and find previous suppliers. And you see the size of the shelf here. I mean, it's pretty giant, right? It's almost a double distribution here. Okay. So I'm just going to look at the CPOC or cumulative from this point on, just to see where we are. So you guys see the delta, I'm sorry, the first SIG, not the delta. I don't know why delta's in my head. The first SIG shifted down a little bit to 43.80. Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
For depends if you're a bull or bear.
Okay, let's take a bull case.
It's not good because
not good.
value is going down.
They're shifting the value down, so it's not good, right? Most likely that You know, if you look at 95 now, the 2 sigma, it's staying the same because we haven't had volume. So most likely I would not be shocked here if we hit this. And if you guys look here on this profile here was also a lowercase b, there is a VPOC here. So the 2 sig carries a VPOC with it. This would be a decent level for a long. Just know that they can fill this gap and they have to fix the gap here on the contract itself. So let's see, 2 sig is here now. Let me remove this box. You guys notice anything in between these profiles? But let's say between this one, pay attention to the POC. What's happening to the POCs? From this one to this one, what is it?
Lower low.
This one.
Continuation lower though.
Okay, now pay attention to this. What's happening here?
Consolidating.
What's
Percentage
happening
is
with the
getting-
price and the value?
Percentage is getting less.
What does that mean?
Tighter
Maybe closer to the bottom.
consolidation.
Selling
Could
is
be.
getting weaker, maybe.
Selling's getting weaker. There's people trying to push it, and it's harder to kind of spread it out and expand it quickly, right? So that means usually price is getting a little stagnant. We're due for a bounce. So I would not be shocked. Ideally, we hit this 43.57. And if you just go a naked chart, let's hide it all. I mean, where's the point where the first balance of this run was created?
Like
The
0.0.
60.
I mean, you have this area right here, right? You see this huge candle. So you have a demand here, and then you have a demand somewhere in here as well. That's both are viable, right? So if I wanted to, I could just take a look at this and not extend it and see what does this say. And look, it's right here, 43.54, which would match that VPOC and the 2 sig, right? So I think this is a good level for potential long and the bias, right? In this case, if you guys look at the daily, so the daily, of course, made a lower low, lower high, and you see now the way we are opening. Does anyone know what this setup is? Talked about it 7 days ago. As it stands right now, I know it's early, but what is this?
It's the pregnant candle, the bearish harami,
This is a bullish harami.
or bullish harami. Sorry.
So in this case, it's bullish. So this is where your ears perk up and you're like, okay, think about it. How much reward do you have for shorting right now?
Not much.
This is where you get a little bit tighter on your position sizing when you're trading. Like today, I was pretty aggressive on some of these shorts because this is just the way they get us excited, or not all of us, but when they're doing this on the up run, what do the bulls do? Buy calls. I'm so excited to buy NVIDIA at 380. I was not excited to buy it at 120. And now when you're shorting, they want you to get excited about shorting. And, you know, we're honestly still in the bracket, right? This is a bracketed market as it stands right now. Till they break this low here, right? I would say, you know, till this demand is taken out, it's really still in the bracket, right? They're going to fill this little gap that they have of, you know, 30 points. But if they can break this level here, right, this demand here, then it's a different story. I'm expecting 41.40 to happen quick once we lose this. And I'm saying quick, it could be maybe 2-day thing that they do this in. So if you take a look at the profile between here and let's say here, there's not much stopping them between this. There's a POC here, just mainly because of these three here. But 4140 is going to gravitate. It's going to pull towards it. Okay. Still a bracketed market. Watch your sizes tomorrow a little bit on shorting. Okay. This high volume node that's not high, I guess. There's a volume node here. You want to watch for that one tomorrow, right? They have this POC that they held at 43.49, right? So I would see how we react to this level. But honestly, this demand, so I'm only in 2 hours. I can even go in 4 hours. This is going to be kind of the bread and butter of this demand right here. This line that I just kind of identified here. So this right here is going to be the bread and butter of that. So I would definitely watch this, right? I mean, if you're going in, I would mainly wait for this 57, and then your stop loss, depending on how you're playing this. If you're playing with options, probably next week's buy or something calls wise would not be bad. If you're playing contracts, if you're playing 3 or 5 minutes, let it give you an entry, right? If it's coming down, some of you guys are not familiar with footprints, but you want to see some divergences on the delta, or you want to see some kind of stopping volume, right? So if you look at this candle right here, this was a pretty good candle. It doubled the volume here, it popped, and then they exploded, a little bit higher here, I guess at 630, and they pushed it all the way to first. Like, I didn't even see that till I zoomed in just now. So now I would expect us to kind of come here, right? I will find the middle of this little thing that we have, whatever you want to call it, and watch this level now, for instance. We're going to be there probably by the time we're done here, or maybe even sooner. They're probably going to look for a bounce, and buyers are going to show up here. Okay. But the key tomorrow is if they can reclaim this PDPOC. So that's what their goal is tomorrow. Let me make sure I have this chart in right, because it seems off. Oh, there, just tapped. There it goes. So there you go. I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to push this right now, right here. Okay. I'm gonna take this long. Okay. Any questions on ES? Anyone?
Can you go over NASDAQ, please?
Any questions on ES though?
Good.
Okay. Just make sure that you're noticing, right? The value areas are shifting down. The volume did pick up a little bit compared to the previous days. And now the risk reward is not necessarily in terms of value. It's not on the short side, but rather long side. So just FYI. And here's this candle. What did I say what they're going to do here? Most likely they're going to hold this and bounce from here. So, and there it goes.
Your next short be at like 80 level?
I'm long here, but.
Right, I know. After this long plays out, would you look for 80 short?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm not going to sit around and wait for it. This is just a good setup here.
Shorty had a quick question. So if you pull up ES on 4 hours, would 43.25 be a good bounce level? Because it seems like we broke out of that range.
43.25.
Yeah, like if you zoom out on 4 hours.
Like right here somewhere?
Yeah, if you a little bit more, and if you scroll, yeah. Okay, you have that level.
Yeah. Do you know what this level is?
No.
Okay. Anyone know what this level is? Nobody?
Is it a gap or?
This is just a contract. just the contract gap. This is where it starts. So you can expect 2 points below, like a little peekaboo, but most likely they'll fill that. Yeah. I wouldn't, if they get in here, they're most likely gonna fill this. So. Okay, if anyone took that long, that's great. There's a long. All right, let's switch to NQ real quick. Well, I think NQ honestly played much better with levels than ES today. If you guys look, I mean, some of the levels that we had, I don't know if you guys remember that 95 that we talked about today. I mean, they gapped through this. We talked about this 61 quite a bit. And this is the gap, the beauty of these gaps. Once you enter it with such force, look what happened. You fill the gap. I mean, pretty much in 30 minutes, you filled completely the gap, right? Which is pretty cool, like see alive. Right now, if you look at the story on NQ, let me just kind of delete some stuff here that I had. Well, that is a weird shape on NQ. There's a lot of fixing here to do. Honestly, if they reclaim this PD POC, I would take this long. Easy long. I would take this over this. This would be my go long. And the target would be probably 61 over here. And then, I mean, we'll take a look at the sigmas on this one. $49.80 is there. Okay. Not too interested in this. I can mark it, but not too interested in this one. At the moment, I'm not. This is the one I'm really interested in. That is a really big value area. I don't know if you guys see it, but that's a giant value area. That's pretty big. Can't get this line to go over. Yeah, so on NQ, I mean, similar, honestly, setup as ES. Seems like they're doing the same thing. It's just that on this one here, they made a higher high on POC, and ES never did that. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, this would probably, if they reclaim this right here, the short would be around CPOC. If you guys look here, just pay attention to the values, right? They're shifting down, tiny little overlap inside, overlap also on the downside. So this is overlap downside, and this POC really shifted now. So if they get the momentum to get over this POC, honestly, I think they have potential to go probably all the way to 1566. I'm not saying in a day, but there's a high chance that they can push this. You know, they've done it before where they've had these type of runs where they go from 1566 to 15439 in a day. So don't take that out of equation, right? That they can't pump this all the way to here or even first sig. This level here will also offer a relief, right? If you guys take a look at it, this is a tiny shelf, right? And the way I denote them and how I pay attention to them on my chart, if the, you know, if this is a little bit thicker, right? That means a little bit bigger, more, you know, more participants were involved in building that. Here, you know, the shelf is, you know, from here to here, but you know, the heart of it is right here. And then you have a tiny little shelf where we are right now. And then a giant shelf right here, which I would expect them to eventually come back here at 14.8. And this might offer a bounce. But then if you think about the bigger picture right here, this 14.589 will be probably giant level for them to get over. Now look at this POC right here. So you have this POC that's right there sitting. I think it was somewhere around here. We'll take a look at it. And then, I mean, a cumulative POC, like the really, really giant POC sitting right here. And this is probably where we are eventually headed. I know it's far, but this is where we are headed at, kind of that 14.3s. I'm sorry, 13.2 level. And we'll get there, right? This is gonna be ultimate target here for long. Okay.
Shorty, that CPOC that you have on this one,
Mm-hmm.
you have it at 66.
Mm-hmm.
What time frame are you getting that on?
So this is from Thursday 8th, June 8th.
All right, Thursday, okay. And are you getting it
I was on 65 minutes. How about,
65
well, maybe
minutes? Okay.
that's actually a little higher, sorry.
I'm just
But
wondering
it's
because I'm coming up to like 80.
1584.
Okay, that's closer to what I got. Thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it was my fault.
Trying to figure out what I did wrong.
No, it's not you. Yeah, 1584 is the level.
Thanks.
Yeah, this looks pretty feasible here. 14.8, I think it's doable. Okay. Any other questions on this? I'll be trading live tomorrow as well, probably morning and then afternoon session. So, and I believe Drew will be as well. So I think we should be okay.
Shorty, I got a question. Because I guess like normally when you draw these fixed range volume profiles of ranges, normally the volume profile areas are overlapping. So, what made you decide to start it from the gap all the way to where we are now?
Because this is the new value. If you think about it, this was our kind of the balance here that we had, right? And then you popped here, you set the high, which should be here, right? And now I know this is your low here right now so far. Till you tell me otherwise, this is a new value, structural value that you created.
Okay.
You broke out of this, right? So you had a nice consolidation here, right? And this is your markup,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in the markup, right, you can have pullbacks like this one. And if this is a pullback, you know, and they pull up to here and then they bounce, that this is your new value. From values, you create imbalances, right? It's not an imbalance to imbalance to imbalance. It's balance to imbalance and then imbalance to balance. It's always, market never goes bull to bear or bear to bull. I mean, usually you have some sort of, they need to get the inventories lined up, right? And if they don't, you know, the move won't be as strong. So that's why I picked it here, just because we had this value here. Honestly, think this is just a crazy theory of mine. If we didn't have the contract switch, I somehow feel like we'd still be here. So I just think this value here, the top right here that we have of this one, is the beginning of the next one, which is the, yes, let me change the color. Call this a purple one. Seems like this is the beginning of the new structure. This was the high, you broke it. Now when we come back here, you know, maybe a little lower, and you see here, here's your value as well. Value area high of the whole thing.
Got you.
From the bottom to the top, this is your value. So this would make sense on a few reasons, right? Why I picked that one. It's more art than science, right? Just like if you recall when we had the March, like this section here, once we broke, we stopped using it, right? We were quickly aggressive, then we pulled here, and this was the structure high and low, right? So I mean, it's almost like, yeah, I mean, we're going down on all time frames, or it's called framing down. You know, you have a lower low, lower high on the weekly. Monthly is far, right? Just because we had a couple of months of nonstop, 3 days daily, lower high. So let's see what we do here. If we continue, just make sure you guys mark your PDLs and PDHs tomorrow. Use that as a sentiment, right? If you break below it, you're continuing, you reclaim, let's say PDH, most likely you're going to reverse and the auction is going to go higher. They're not happy with the price. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to keep this sweet and short just because I'm going to go spend some time with the wife and I'll be on tomorrow as well.
All right, Shorty, have a good night. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Shorty.
you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Shorty.
Thanks, Rockets. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
You gonna trade right now, Drew, or what? Bean, are you here? Okay. Cuban.